Welcome to another video on the Big B and Little T channel. Today we're going to be making a side dish that will go well with any Mexican flavored main dish that you may have. We're going to be using hominy, and I had grown up eating hominy as a side dish, just plain by itself, usually the white hominy, and loved it as a kid. I loved corn and green beans. Those are about the two vegetables that I did like. And as I was opening this can of hominy to drain it, I was wondering to myself, what exactly is hominy? Because obviously it's corn, but the texture's not like corn. It's just different. And so I looked it up, and it's actually called nixtamal in Spanish, and it goes through a process in nixtamalization, it's a mouthful, of the kernels are soaked in a lime solution and steeped, and makes the holes come off, and it makes it increase in size, and it changes the texture of it so it becomes chewy, and it increases the starch in it. It has actually a lot of fiber and starch. It's very low fat, so it's got some good nutritional value. And then when it's dried, it can be ground, and then it becomes masa, which is the flour that they use to make corn tortillas. So that was just an interesting little lesson that I learned just from a vegetable that I had eaten growing up. They didn't have the white hominy in the store when I went to purchase it. They just had the yellow, or golden, I guess they call it. And it actually has a little more nutritional value. Just when you see vegetables with more color, you can think to yourself more antioxidants and a little more healthy for you. But we're going to get started today. We're going to make a side dish, and the first thing we're starting off is a half a cup of diced red onion. On my skillet, and put the red onion in there. I'm not going to add any oil. I don't saute in oil. If anything, I will add a little bit of water, or if I had some broth on hand, I would saute in broth. But we're just going to let those onions heat up in the skillet when it's dry, and just let it start cooking like that. Next, we're going to take some garlic and mince it. It calls for a teaspoon of minced garlic. I'm going to take a couple of cloves and hopefully get a teaspoon out of that. I just take a big butcher knife and we're going to add that to the pan, and we're going to give it a stir. It's starting to sizzle a little bit. In a minute, I may add a tablespoon or two of water. Now next, I have in this container some adobo peppers in sauce. I've had them in my refrigerator for a while, and we're going to take a half to a fourth of a pepper. If I were to put that whole pepper in there, that'd be really spicy. So we're going to take a half to a quarter of that. I'm actually going to take, in between that, I'm going to take about a third of that pepper. It has spinach in it. We're going to add spinach as our greens, and I'm trying to find more and more ways to get greens into my diet. I find that I eat quite a bit of salad, and I usually have mixed greens when I'm eating my salad. So cooked greens have never really been my favorite as I have grown up, and now 57. I just feel like I should be eating more greens in my diet and just let my palate kind of stretch so that I'm more in favor of eating greens. I can remember growing up, my grandparents lived on a farm, and they grew turnip greens and mustard greens, and my grandma would cook them with bacon and served them with hot pepper sauce at the table, and I just, as a kid, I couldn't stand the sight of them. They were just green and mushy, and I don't think they ever even made me eat them, because grandparents, being the way they are, spoil the grandkids. So I wasn't used to eating cooked greens, and now I'm trying to just expand my palate and try to be a big girl. Okay, we're going to add in those diced up adobo pepper, a third of one of those peppers. Stir it in a little bit, and then I'm just going to use my teaspoon in this sauce and Put it right in there with the onions. And then the recipe calls for ½ teaspoon of smoked paprika. It's one of my favorite spices. So ½ teaspoon of that's going to give us a nice smoky flavor. It's kind of a nice way to get the flavor of smokiness if you're used to having barbecue or smoked meat before you became vegan or vegetarian. Then adding smoked paprika, or sometimes liquid smoke, will bring back that essence, that flavor. And you can see it's turned it a really nice, deep orange color. Okay, that's been stirred in. It's smelling really smoky around here. I have rinsed and drained the hominy, and I just put it right back into its can. So we're going to add that. Stir it around with the onions, garlic, adobo pepper, and sauce. Okay, so that's cooking. Now I have a big box of spinach, and the recipe calls for 6 cups of spinach. Now I'm not going to stuff 6 cups one by one. I'm just going to use handfuls. And it may look like your skillet is overflowing with spinach, but when it cooks down, it's going to look like you maybe put a cup in there. It's just crazy how it cooks down so much. So it's starting to sizzle a little bit now. The hominy, of course, is already cooked. It came cooked in the can. We're mainly just reheating it. So I'm going to add the spinach. Just about a handful. That's probably 2 cups. Some of those leaves are very, very big. We're probably up to 4 cups now. We're gonna fill the skillet is what we're gonna do. A little bit more. And then, get those little pieces that tried to escape. I'm just gonna put a lid on it and let it cook down for a minute or two while we wait. And then we wait and wait. A lot of this spinach will probably go in my salads, chopped up. I also will mix it with hash browns. If I have hash browns for breakfast or lunch or dinner, I'll generally put onions, peppers, and do the potatoes, and then add some chopped spinach at the end, another way to get some greens. I also add big handfuls in smoothies if I drink smoothies, and mostly it'll get eaten raw. And I can't believe it says baby spinach when you saw how big one of those leaves were. That is nuts. Okay, here we go. Yeah, it's just almost. I would not cook it until it's super soggy. I just let the spinach leaves melt into there, just wilt around, and I would call that done. I'm going to turn this off, and we'll get it served up in a bowl here and see what it tastes like. Thanks for watching. I hope you try this dish and let me know what you think of it. Thanks for watching.